Well, everyone, made her back from Arizona, back to the deep freeze of Saskatchewan, minus 39 degrees last night. And if you're familiar with Fahrenheit and Celsius, you'll know that that's almost minus 40 in either one you want to talk about. So nearly minus 40 Fahrenheit last night for my people south of the border. When I got back from Arizona, I unhooked the Cabriolet right here off the van right away, put it inside because I wanted to do a little bit of work to it. One thing I wanted to do, so I want to change the transmission oil. Now I've towed this thing, I think it's over 6,000, maybe close to 7,000 kilometers behind that van in the last 2 months. So I think the Cabriolet deserves an oil change in the transmission. And again, I wanted to do a little check on how the oil's holding up. Now, obviously, it's not new oil, so it's not going to be perfectly clean. But if I find a lot of metal and stuff, then I know I'm damaging the transmission by towing it like this. But I have a feeling, because I haven't had any signs whatsoever, no noise in the transmission, no difference from what it was when I first started towing it, I'm going to say there's really nothing, there's not going to find much. Other than dirty oil. So let's drop the oil out of it, and then I'll go, and I want to flush this transmission as well. So I've been thinking about, well, what to use. So I'm thinking I'll just use some motor oil, about 1 liter of motor oil, and some mineral spirits. I think I have both on hand. And what I'll do once I drop the transmission oil out, the old stuff, I'll put the plug back in. Then I'll fill up the transmission with a mix of a little bit of motor oil with mineral spirits, and I'll run the car, and not for long, a minute maybe at the most, just to get it sloshing around in there, because these are just run off a slinging mechanism. There's no pump in these transmissions, so it just slings the oil around. And if I can agitate it a little bit and then flush that back out after a minute or two of running, I think it'll get rid of a lot of extra dirt that doesn't need to be there. I'll have to put this other side up so I can run the wheels. All right, so let's get the oil dropped, and then we'll go from there. Right in here, there's the drain plug right there. I do have a clean pan I'm going to dump the oil into. First, though, I want to clean up that area before I put the drain pan under with some parch cleaner. So we'll get that done. Maybe a wire brush, and I'll clean that up. Get it as clean as I can get it anyway. There we go. Yeah. That's pretty clean. Clean enough for this. There, dry that off a bit. Then we'll get the drain pan underneath. The clean drain pan. There. That should catch it. And my T-handle. There we go. There. Right there, and we'll drain this oil out. There's water in there. Oh, there it is. Oh, that oil is dark. All right, I went ahead and jacked up the other side, and the oil's dropped out, and it's pretty dirty. I'll get rid of it out of this container, and then I'm going to go back under it, and I'm going to take the filler plug out that's on the side of the transmission. So I'll show you. Here is the what would be the filler plug on these transmissions right there, and this is the drain plug down here. So let's clean it up a little bit so you get less dirt. Hopefully this isn't in too terribly hard. Yeah, that's probably clean enough. Like that. Let's get my tool. In we go. Hopefully I can get this off. There she, oh yeah, she's not bad at all. There we are. T-handle now. All right, so like I said, I'm just, somebody's been on this. Someone did the oil change on it because they were on it with a pipe wrench. By the looks of it, you can see the little marks there. Anyway, I didn't mention this, but I just make these, that's a 17 millimeter or 11/16, same thing. Just 2 bolts. These are grade 8 bolts welded together into a T fashion. And you can get some good leverage this way, and then you can go up like this, the same head, and do the T part like I'm just doing there now. So if you want a wrench that you can just throw in the back and have on hand or in your toolkit for these large plugs like this, then that's an easy way to do it. Anyway, so all I'm doing is taking this out. So when I put my cleaning solution in, I'll know it's full, and I'm going to put it in. I'll probably overfill it. So there's the plug. So I'm just going to leave it like that, just in by a thread, like so. There. So I know the air will get out to let the new fluid in, because I'm going to fill it from the transmission breather, which is up top. All right, so we got the plug set. I can reach under and grab it anytime I want. And let's go up top now. With the engine hood open, what we're looking for is this right here. So this is the transmission air breather, and you just pull that off like so. It just clips on, it lets air in and air out. So that leaves this little port. So I'm going to set you back up on the rack there, and I'm going to get a hose and a funnel and get some of my flushing fluid geared up. So there's kind of where it's at, right in there, that right by the clutch cable. That's what you're looking for. So what I wanted my mixture to be was motor oil and mineral spirits. I have some motor oil. This is such a cheap 5W30 motor oil, a conventional. So I'm going to put a little bit in this jug, if I don't knock it over. Put about a half a liter or a liter in here. And when we get that in, I'm going to put some diesel in, because I can't find my mineral spirits. So diesel fuel is close, it'll work. I'm using the motor oil just to keep things lubricated for the very short time that I'll be doing this, so I don't need a lot of it. All right, we'll get this filled up, and I'll get a bunch of oil in there, and I'll get my diesel fuel in there. I think that's going to be enough for the oil. Let's try some diesel. Oh, this stuff's cold. It was outside. Whew. She is cold. It's a wonder it's not gelled up. Let's see what I can put some in. These jugs are these newfangled type jugs. Oh, that's thick. That is thick diesel. Holy. No anti-gelling agent in that. Wow, that must be summer fuel. It looks like summer fuel. It is thick. That wouldn't work very good in the engine at this time of year. All right, I'm going to fill this pop container up the rest of the way with this fuel, and that's what we'll use for our flush. So the plan here is that same funnel I used to fill that 2-liter jug up with, this guy right here, I have it on a hose going down to that air vent, and I'll just tie it up here. I have a piece of tape on my hood prop to hold that from sliding down, and I'll just wrap that around there. It's like an IV for the old thing. We're going to give the transmission an IV. All right. Not that you need the light, but maybe you can see better. I'll show you what I'm doing. So that hose goes right down to that vent. So I'm going to fill up that transmission, and then we'll fire up the engine and give her a minute or so of flash time, and then we'll drain it back out again. I'll drain that old oil out of that pan, or get another pan, and we'll get this transmission flushed out. All right, there's our mixture right there. But if we can get air in, or fluid in without taking the plug out, that'd be good. All right, well, we'll get this filled up. There we are. That's it for our motor oil and diesel fuel mix. So I'm just going to leave that all set up like that. Make sure there's nothing leaking on the floor. Might have to tighten that plug up a little bit. I think I'll go under and do that. And then we'll fire the engine up and that'll be it. We'll run it for a couple of minutes. Got the transmission topped up. I'm going to get in her, see if she'll start. And then we'll run this a little bit. There, she fired up, took a little coaxing. All right, now I'm going to put it in gear. I'll put it in first. We'll get that stuff sloshing around in there. Run it through the gears. I'm not going to do this very long. A minute or two at the most. All right, well, I'm going to let that sit in the transmission for a little while, and I'll be back and we'll drain it out. Okay, so I'm just transferring the oil from this old pan into this Coke bottle that was here. And kind of see how much metal was in this from that 6,000 plus kilometer run. Now, I mean, it's pretty dark oil, there's no doubt about that. From that transmission. Let's see what's in here. If we can see. It's like panning for gold. Well, there's no metal, like there's no chunks. See what's in there on the bottom of this. Oh yeah, it's not clean, but it's no sludge. That's just oil, heavy oil. Yeah, so that's after 6,000 plus kilometers of towing. So I'm going to get this completely drained out, and then I'm going to wash that pan out, and we'll see what comes out of it after the flush. So I've given it another couple of minutes circulating the oil in the transmission. Everything went smooth. Get the pan cleaned out. So we'll get it back underneath there and we'll get see what comes out of this thing. Well, let's drain her out, see what we got. Someone put that in tight again. I don't know why I put it in so tight. I knew I was taking it back out. All right, we should get a bunch of diesel and motor oil coming out. Hopefully it's dirty. That means it's done its job. Oh yeah, it got some out, that's for sure. Ooh, spraying everywhere. Oh yeah, that dirtied that up quite a bit. That's good. I'll let that drain off a tiny bit there. And then I'll put the plug back in. And she'll be as clean, I think as clean as it needs to be. Yeah. Yeah, that picked up some dirt. All right, I'm gonna let that drain to get as much out as I can get. And I'll show you what oil I'm gonna put in. So the new oil. The new oil is an MT90 by Redline. It's a GL4 type of oil. You don't use GL5 in these transmissions. That's for rear end high pressure differential stuff. There's transmissions like these synchro mesh transmissions take a GL4 because they have other metals in them. There's brass, there's even little plastic parts in there, where the GL5 stuff is not suited to those kinds of metal combinations. Where this stuff is GL4, Redline MT90. I believe the original oil was a 85 weight. Go look it up if you want and do all the specs on it. I'm not going to go into every little bit of specs on it. It does give a list of vehicles it's for, but if you go on some of the sites with it, you'll find it's for Volkswagen too. So that's what we're going to be putting back in once this drains out. Now this oil is relatively clear. It's got like a honey color to it, light honey color. Maybe a tinge of red, I'm not sure, but not much. So we'll get both of these put in here. And like I say, this transmission holds 2 liters. This stuff is not cheap. I think I paid 40 bucks Canadian for a quart of it. So it's not super cheap, but I mean, you shouldn't have to change this very often. And Probably get another 100,000 out of this one, 100,000 kilometers before changing it again. Very good. I'll save the containers. I'll fill them with the used oil. So recycle them here. Well, that's it, everyone. I think that's a pretty good job done. I'm going to do some more work to the cabby before I put it outside. And then I'm planning the next video to be working on the old Thunderbird again. So I know there's some people waiting to see more of the Thunderbird videos. Don't blame them. It's been a long time. I did the floor underneath last video on it, but that was a while ago. Anyway, really not much to say about this. 2 liters of oil to fill it back up. Get yourself good quality oil. Make sure your drain plugs are all back in, good and snug, but don't have to crank them right down so they're breaking the case. And I showed you there where I used the breather to fill it up with. And pretty simple. So no excuses. If you've got an MK1 Volkswagen 5-speed, change the oil. All right, everyone, thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.